Welcome to PCMag's One Cool Thing. I am PCMag's Iyaz Akhtar with PCMag's Will Greenwald. And the one cool thing we're talking about is the Apple Vision Pro, which Will has had for a couple of days. For people who have no idea what this thing is, can you give the basics about the Apple Vision Pro?
Apple calls it a spatial computer. They are very keen to not describe it as a VR display or an AR display, but it's both. And this is a head-mounted display. It's virtual reality, it's augmented reality. Like, I can see through this to everyone right now. I can also just move this dial. Actually, I'm recording video right now. Dink, that's over.
So you can record video and people can see what you're seeing?
Yes, I can also share it to, I believe, Apple AirPlay devices. I can also just go to Mount Hood by turning this dial. It's very pretty right now.
So this is a self-contained spatial computer. That's what Apple's saying it is. And so basically you should be able to use it by itself, but when you're setting up an Apple Vision Pro, what's that process like?
You need to use an iPhone. To order it, you actually need to take photos of your face using the FaceTime camera. There's a whole fitting process, Apple claims. And when I went to pick it up at the Apple store in Brooklyn, I sat there for 15, 20 minutes while they supposedly were assembling parts. I guess they're different mounts or headband things. They couldn't actually tell me what they were doing. The employee actually said, we can't talk about it. And I'm a little skeptical because as a fit, this is not quite as good as the Meta Quest headsets. It's very front heavy. The headband is clever. There's a dial that tightens it, but it just doesn't, there's not quite as much support as I'd like.
So what is the main goal of Vision Pro compared to something like a Meta Quest? Because you've got solid VR, then there's AR, then there's mixed reality, and there's Apple calling it spatial computing because they don't want people to think whatever are anymore. You think about liquid retina displays, you don't think about high resolution, you're thinking about their sapphire glass stuff. It's all their terminology. What exactly does this device do?
It's funny you say goal because I don't know. But basically this is as powerful as a MacBook Air or an iPad Pro. It actually has an M2 processor, which is the same as the iPad Pro and the lower-end MacBook Airs. It also has a separate R1 processor that does all of the spatial computing, and it's really impressive for reasons we can talk about later. And you can do anything you could with those devices, pretty much. You can work. There's a virtual keyboard. You can pair Bluetooth devices, which you'd want to pair a Bluetooth keyboard because the on-screen keyboard is typing without any physical feedback, very hard. You can watch things, you can have 3D experiences, you can even make FaceTime calls with it. And the cameras on the front, part of the setup process is it scans your face to make a persona of a simulated version of your face that looks like you and will actually move as you talk if you're making a FaceTime call with this on.
You use the actual Vision Pro to scan your face for this persona, which will work on FaceTime only right now?
Yeah.
And I've seen some demos of this, and it looks it's almost real.
It doesn't get the hair right.
It's very close, but it looks like somebody's taken a face and they've plastered it onto a 3D model.
Yes.
It moves a little bit unnaturally. Yeah. Have you found that experience to be a little jarring, or do you think it's just a new way people are going to see each other?
I don't have to look at it, so it's not jarring for me.
If you're talking to somebody else on FaceTime using one of these devices, assuming somebody else has another $3,500 Apple Vision Pro.
Well, no, you can talk to anyone on a phone or on an iPad or an iPad, and it's a lot less jarring if you open the call with Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Heidi Ho.
Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Heidi Ho.
Yeah, you heard that too. Okay. Speaking of hearing, there are speakers on this device?
Yeah.
How are they?
They're really good. It's similar to the spatial audio you get with the AirPods Max, the big headphones.
Really?
That it projects sound around your ears, and because it senses motion, whatever you're looking at in front of you feels like it's in front of you. You turn your head, it's still there. So if you're watching a movie, it's like the speakers are right there. So you can get a really good sense of surround sound. It does mean that there's no privacy. But I wouldn't recommend anyone wear this in public anyway.
So could you place a television, let's say on the right, and the audio's coming on that way, so that way when you, let's say, go to the kitchen, it'll still be coming from behind you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Speaking of people seeing you in public with this, all right, so there's been a lot of videos out there, images of people with the stuff on the subway, driving cars with them on. These are probably either stunts or insane, or publicity stunts for all we know, because
don't drive a car with this on, especially a Tesla, but don't drive any car with it on.
I saw somebody, at least an image of somebody on the subway with one of these, and I'm not going to take this off of his head because it's expensive and fragile, not as well as head too. But the thing is, this could be just taken away. I just think that's kind of an insane idea.
Yeah, it is insane, but also if you're on the subway, there's a chance you're going to get kicked in the face by breakdancers. Pretty much every commuter has come within inches of the Showtime kids just, a foot. They do their pole flips and stuff.
Let's talk about the fragility of this device, because when you were receiving it, they were talking to you about how you're supposed to hold the device. There was a cover for the front screen. You can take apart the, this is the light barrier that goes around your face.
Yep.
And that's
Comes off with
magnetic.
magnets.
So it seemed really fragile. Does it seem that way in your usage?
No, it's an aluminum body. The glass is all, it all feels very solid. It's like a big curved Apple Watch on your face. I don't want to knock it against anything. This is still a $3,500 device, but Apple makes pretty solid feeling products. They never feel flimsy, or they haven't in ages. And this feels very good, but you still are dealing with the price of like 2 MacBook Pros on your face. So you got to be careful with it.
It seems like this, to me, it feels like the Apple Watch happening again, where like that was very expensive and the software might not be fully there with Watch 2.0, the Watch OS 2.0. It got a lot smoother, things got better, the prices came down. It seemed to be for everyone. With the Vision Pro, what is the user experience like, considering Apple's old tag was, it just works? When you get it out of the box, you've got to use an iPhone, you said. You've got to use a different interface. It's its own operating system. It's not Mac OS, it's not iOS, it's not iPad OS, it's Vision OS, correct?
Yes, Vision OS is actually based on all those things, and there's a lot of familiar elements with it, but it's built for, they say spatial computing, I would say augmented reality. But what's really impressive isn't the operating system itself, which is pretty good, especially for a launch platform, but the control scheme is what's really impressive. You press this button to bring up the home screen of just apps. Then you look, there's eye tracking on the inside. Whatever you look at, it glows. Then you tap your fingers like this, you select it. I just opened the App Store. I put this over here. I just opened Safari. I put this over your face. Then I look at the little button that says X, pinch that, done, pinch, move it around. It's the best VR or AR interface I've ever used, and I've used pretty much every consumer one of the last 10 years.
Now, Apple's usually good for being intuitive. Did these gestures feel intuitive to you? Did they feel like you had to learn them? Like, I know there's, people could say, like, I don't use 3 fingers to, move my desktops across. Do these feel natural, and are they easy to perform?
Really natural, because there's just this. This is the only gesture.
And it's tracking this perfectly.
Yeah. Another part of the setup, it does calibrate your eyes. So it makes you look at a dot. The cameras on the inside see how your eyes are focusing. Then you look at a circle of 6 dots. Then it gets brighter, so your eyes, I guess, dilate. You do it again. You do it one more time. Then it knows what your eyes look like and what they look like when they're focusing on different spots. And that's really accurate for the most part. It's not so great when it's near the edges. Then it scans your hands front and back. So just wherever it is, as long as it's anywhere in view of the cameras, you just tap. So I've done this like petting my cat on my lap, and I haven't had misfires. I haven't had difficulty doing it. Just pretty much anywhere I look, as long as it's not directly to the side or behind my head, I just tap.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, like you see videos and they're up here doing like Minority Report movements.
Yep.
But Apple's trying to make sure that people understand you can come way down. That's got a lot of field of view for what you're talking about. So it's always seeing your hands.
Look, I'm going to go to PCMag right now, and I'm going to type it in.
Down there. You're typing there?
Yep.
Oh, you're typing by using your eyes to hit each letter?
I just look at each letter, tap, and it sees me tapping like this. And you can't see it, but it's right in front of me.
Yeah, Will had an article about that because I didn't know what the heck he was doing. I was like, wait, what did he do? I know what he's doing. He's actually looking through his eyes, just picking letters on a keyboard, which is kind of absurd.
Yeah.
Because that works faster than actually using your fingers, you think?
No, not when I'm typing. I type really fast, but it is way faster than if I'm just tapping usually.
Air feedback isn't very...
air feedback isn't, but it's way better than, like, I review TVs, and inputting text with a remote or with a gamepad, that takes a long time. This is way faster. You can pair a Bluetooth keyboard, you can pair a mouse, you can pair a gamepad, so you can do all those things, but just the eye controls in your fingers, you don't need any controller, which is amazing. We've seen this tech, the eye tracking before in the Meta Quest Pro, and the PlayStation VR 2 has it. They're really impressive, but this is a generational leap over that. It's so much better in terms of usability.
And one of the articles talked about Optic ID is the way that the headset will identify you. Now, this is meant for one user. They can have multiple users. iPads famously still don't have users unless you're in the education market. You got to be one person, one device. $3,500 sounds like a device that maybe you'd want to share with the family. What is the deal with Optic ID and sharing?
Well, right now, there is a people thing. I can put in different accounts, but Are you
doing it now, or just
I'm just checking the screen.
talking with your,
But I'm pretty sure I can only be one user on this. But, and if you want to try this, let's see. little bit awkward with all the lights. Okay.
And normally, we've got lights on us, so normally he's doing this in a normal room.
There is a guest mode, which should disable the ID. And if I do this within 5 minutes and remove the lenses, I got lens inserts because I'm nearsighted.
That's right. So the prescription lenses are needed in there. If you're nearsighted, I'm nearsighted, so this ought to be interesting. Can I keep these on, you think?
No.
Okay, don't do that. All right, I've not tried this on before.
It might be blurry, but depends how bad it is.
Okay, I just see black.
Give it a sec.
Here we go. Press and hold to align. Oop, dropping things. Ooh, the sound is great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Press the digital crown to set up your eyes and hands. Well, I thought my eyes were set up, but okay.
Well, then it'll walk you through the calibration thing of the hand thing. That might take a few minutes.
Yeah,
but
so we can do that
it'll give
later.
you- yeah.
Yeah, but this is very cool.
Yeah.
What-
And now we know the guest mode works, as I haven't tried using it yet.
You're right. It's kind of like there's a dimmed view of everybody else in the studio.
Because I believe the display peaks at like 500 nits, and it's way brighter. Sun's out. We have video lights, so like it is going to be dimmer on that, but it's still very visible. And when you have the environment, can you turn the digital crown like? Do it clockwise? Does it make it?
Well, right now, because I'm still in the setup, I won't let me do
Okay,
anything.
then never mind, because
Yeah. I'm
there's
gonna hand these
actually a
later.
very nice view of a lake by Mount Hood, which is quite pleasant.
I will say that it wasn't set up for me, but it felt a bit heavy on the face.
Yes.
And there's no like top strap. There's a back strap there. I'm still not exactly sure why exactly companies haven't decided that hair matters, because you're gonna have like padded down hair here and here, because there's a lot of weight on the front of this thing.
Yeah. You know, Apple's going to be Apple with their own designs. I actually think there could be way more support. The MetaQuest headsets have a nice strap over the top, which isn't great for your hair, but it's going to support it a lot more. There's a secondary strap, the dual loop band, which can replace this thing on the back. And it goes, there's a narrower band on the back, then another one that goes horizontally over here. But even that isn't as supportive as just a vertical strap, which distributes the weight a lot better. And because this is about 22 ounces, it's a little bit lighter than the Quest Pro. It is 4 ounces heavier than the Quest 3. And all that weight's on the front, so it isn't quite as comfortable.
Yeah, I was holding it up with my hand, because I think if I didn't want to mess with your settings there. Yeah.
And there's just like a dial that lets you loosen and tighten it. But even with that, it's not the most comfortable headset I've used.
How's the App Store? They said millions of apps, and obviously you can run iPad apps, iOS apps. Not every app, even though it's got an M2 processor. I'm relatively confused by this, because with iDevice, iPhones, iPads, you've got the App Store and you're locked down. Macs, you could still install third-party apps, and Gatekeeper gets in the way of that for nerds, but we always get around it. But this is a locked-down device, correct?
Yeah, I haven't even tried to figure out if there's any jailbreaking. Like, this is $3, 3 days old and $3,500. I'm not going to play with it that much.
You don't want to break
with
it
as
yet?
it should be. It's weird. Again, for a launching VR, AR, mixed reality, spatial computing, whatever platform, it's actually really strong because it is built on the bones of iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. So a lot of the familiar names are here. There are native apps for like mail, messages, music, Apple TV. There are also the iPad apps for things like Pages. And there are a lot of both native and iPad apps and iPad compatible apps for different things. There's Amazon Prime Video, there's Crunchyroll, there's Disney Plus, which actually has its own exclusive experience on the Vision Pro with 4 different really nice theaters you can sit in.
Okay.
Well, 1 nice theater and 3 other like Disney Marvel environments, which are kind of cool. But the weird thing is where there are a few surprises. We could actually run 3 of our benchmark programs and test this as if we were benchmarking an iPad Pro. So 3D Mark, Antutu, Geekbench, they all run on here.
Oh, really?
Along with Scrivener, which is a fiction writing toolbox I like using. Steam Link works perfectly. To my absolute shock, I could stream PC games from my PC
How's
in
the
my
quality?
apartment. Really good. The games are playable. I just paired a gamepad with it, and it worked pretty much perfectly.
That sounds a little absurd.
But it is missing every Google app. Every Google app. There's no YouTube, there's no Chrome.
No native apps, but you can go to the website and use that stuff, which is a workaround, but
you can
annoying.
access some. You can't access Chrome, but you can access all those apps through Safari, or Edge, or Opera, or Firefox. Those are on there, not Chrome, which makes you wonder if Apple's holding a grudge against Google or something.
Aren't they all built on the same Chromium backend?
You'd think? I don't know. There also isn't Netflix or Twitch. You got to do that through the web too. And Safari's really good. It's an excellent implementation on Safari. I could watch some Twitch streams just easily with this. Just pop a browser window up and do whatever. And it's great. But there are definitely some weirdly missing apps here. Because it should, in theory, run pretty much any iPad app.
Yeah,
and those are big ones.
Because it's got the same processor, it's got the same insides. So that just seemed like it's a matter of time. I think somebody at YouTube mentioned it's on their product roadmap for a native app. Do you think a native app would actually make that great a difference? Because the experience, essentially what you're telling me is a lot of like, you basically can have virtual windows up, and these are just rectangular, like you can do that with screens, you can do that with televisions, you can do that with whatever.
Yeah.
Is there an experience that you can get from this device that is beyond what you could possibly do with many monitors, or I don't know, even like a Wii remote kind of remote, just to mess with your systems?
Yeah, for one thing, you can make the screens way bigger. So there is the whole virtual theater experience, including you having a virtual theater in the Disney app. But on the other hand, with Crunchyroll, which is a native app, I couldn't tell the difference if it was an iPad app. It's just a window up there. I can watch anime on it. Yay. So some Vision OS apps, if they're native, are going to offer something really unique. Others, I'd have a hard time telling them from the iPad app. Maybe it's a stability issue. They would just be more stable.
No, that's a possibility. I don't know what that's. I don't know how much RAM's in there.
16 gigs.
And you could have up to a terabyte of storage. That's the $38.99 version.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what the usual load would be for the app sizes for these for this device, do we?
I mean, define usual load, but you can download videos.
Okay.
So like I can get offline videos on Disney Plus and stuff, or just manually download videos through Safari and play it on local storage. Though there is another limiting factor, the battery. This is going to last maybe at most 2.5 hours.
Yes, we should talk about the battery pack, which is sitting on that table, which I almost knocked over 20 times. It's about the size of an old iPhone or a battery case, and it's got a nice little Apple logo, and it's...
You'll notice there's no clip. If you want a belt clip or anything, Apple sells a Belkin one for another $50.
$50 to hold a brick.
And if you want a carrying case for all this, $200. Which,
wait, so
it is weird. The weird thing though, this, if you want more than 2 hours at a time, additional battery packs are $200 too. You need to shut it down completely because it gets all power from the battery pack.
Oh, you can't do a hot swap.
No.
It doesn't have like a built-in small battery for that swap.
This is actually a twisting mount. Like it is in there secure. But if you want to have more time out of it, and you could also get like a battery that has an output of like, high enough PD and then just attach it. But $200 for this extra battery, that's pretty good. $200 for a carrying case, no.
Yeah, I thought there would be a case involved, maybe even a sack, just something that you could hold your stuff in. It's like, no, and I really can't complain about this. We've lost so many things for phone boxes and everything else. What do you get? You get the device, and they say good luck and goodbye, pretty much. How many hours of battery life are you getting from a single charge?
Maybe 2. If you're just watching videos like from a stationary position, you might be able to get 2.5.
I would think if
you can use it while it's plugged in though, you can just have a charger like running to this. You just have this sitting on a table, but you
can just have a super long extension cord so you can just go around the day with that on.
Yeah, I don't have a power strip behind my couch, so.
I will say that, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see his eyes, at least one eye. There's a lot of light coming in, so there's a lot of reflections on the front of this display. It is a little bit more simple to talk to him, because otherwise it's a little strange when you're seeing somebody who's just looking like Cyclops from the X-Men. Like, okay, what's going on there? I can see his eyes, he can kind of see me, but it's kind of washed out right now. Is there a way to change the brightness of the front display?
No, in fact, I don't really think there's a way to change the brightness of what I'm looking at either. It's all automatic, and I haven't found a brightness slider yet.
Oh. That's interesting. Because I will say it definitely felt immersive in the short time I had it. Because when I'm looking around, it looked like I was just wearing a dark filter over my glasses. And just considering my vision, that was pretty good. So I was quite surprised with it. The audio is really, you think it's AirPod Max quality?
It's up there. I mean, the AirPod Max is its own kind of unique thing. It is really expensive for even noise canceling headphones. But the way it works with the spatial sound and like tracking motion and just how it sounds really good. So it's really good.
So have you found the perfect use case for you yet? Or do you just find it as a novelty? Is this something you have a vision of the future, no pun intended?
It's definitely a vision of the future. I think that like all AR, VR, MR headsets should take cues from Apple's control scheme at the very least. Eye tracking should be standard. Better hand tracking than we've seen on the Quest should be standard. This is easy. It's easier than every other thing I've used before, and I don't need a controller. It's incredible. Vision OS needs time to develop. It needs more support. Apple has their own quirks. For instance, pricing this at $3,500. The tech inside this kind of justified because it is basically a MacBook Air or iPad Pro with a Display, the resolution is closer to 8K than 4K. It's 22 million pixels. 8K is 33, 4K is 8.
That's all built into this.
And looking through this is like looking through just goggles. It feels very natural that I'm looking at you.
It's something else. So this is the Vision Pro. Do you foresee a Vision No Pro, an actual like regular one? We got a MacBook, we got a MacBook Pro. You get what I'm saying here?
I think it's kind of inevitable. I think if Apple wants this to be more than an early adopter toy, they need to look into making a cheaper one. If they could go to $1,000 to $1,500 like the MetaQuest Pro, it would be way more feasible as something you could invest in as a thing. But as a first generation device that's $3,500, this is just kind of a really cool toy. Now, it's a really cool toy, but I'm not going to keep this around. But the next generation, I might actually just pair it with a keyboard and use. But I'm also the kind of weirdo who has some AR glasses that are just like just glasses with a little projected screen that I plug into my little computer and I type at a coffee shop because I'm that guy.
Okay. So
I have a keyboard, I have a mouse, I have a wrist rest. I am that guy.
I've seen you Rocket, I think, makes one.
No, actually, I use the Victure, not Rocket, but Rokid.
Oh, thank you.
Brand. TCL slash XReal, TCL and Nextwear slash Rayneo, XReal. Like we've looked at all those, but those are just portable displays.
Yeah.
This is a
computer.
It's a spatial computer, but still by definition, this is an AR, VR, MR headset. It's a mixed reality thing you put on your head. Calling it a spatial computer doesn't change that it is fundamentally the same type of device as a MetaQuest Pro.
I think Apple's doing that normal thing where they're like, again, you don't know what it is. We're calling it what we're calling it. You're going to call it this from now on. I bet you the sales of the other devices, like you're talking about, portable displays will go up because I don't think a lot of people thought this was a real category. I'm not even, because like when Apple does something, everyone's like, wireless charging. Yeah, wireless charging's been around for a while. Headsets been around for a while.
I'll tell you that Apple needs to make a non-Pro one for like $1,000 to $1,500, but they cannot take out the sensors. That's the biggest thing. The eye tracking and gestures are what make this completely.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they shrunk down Face ID. The amount of technology that was in a little space on that phone was tremendous. If it was scanning your face, scanning your face is here too. They've got a lot of technology. Any other last words you want to say about the Apple Vision Pro, which is just, it's kind of awesome in theory?
My face is starting to hurt.
Okay, his face is starting to hurt. But he's also going to be writing hundreds of articles about this thing, the Apple Vision Pro. He's done a bunch already. And my God, my goodness, there's been a bunch of weird usages for these already.
Yeah.
People are finding out there's certain content they can't watch with it. Go figure what that is later. We'll have articles everywhere at PCMag.com, and we'll have videos. So go check them out on our YouTube channel and social, because we're going to be everywhere. That's what we do. I'm Iyaz Akhtar, Will Greenwald, Apple Vision Pro, one cool thing.